first time and I'm a bit nervous. So I'm going to pretend like I do my one-to-one demos. So I'm going to pick a customer that I just did recently, and I hope she's watching tonight. She knows who she is, and we'll begin. Also, as I said, Vanessa is in the background. She'll answer all your questions, and whilst it's still live, Vanessa can answer your questions. Also, I would love some ideas what you guys would like me to see to cook. So we'll begin. As I said before, if you don't have a dicer and French fry kit, that's okay. You can dice your vegetables by hand or by using the food processor using pulse function. I will start with my vegetables. So I have them all prepared. So what I'm going to do is set up the dicing. Turn it on. What I love about the Cook Expert is that even though it says expert, once I put the lid on properly, it will change over to food processor. So we just pull this apart, and I love the large pusher. Remove I've got the mini bowl with its own blade. Then I have the mini bowl itself, and we have the large bowl. Okay. So this is a 10 mil, with the kit, you get a 10 mil slicer. Now, there's a little S for slicer, 10 mil. I don't know if you can see that. And I'm going to use just the disc support, place that. Now, please be very, very careful. The blade is actually absolutely sharp, so we don't want cutting our fingers. And always place the disc on the flat side, not the raised up part. Lock the lid. It still says expert. Now, with the dicing kit, we have a grid here. I'll just push it out and show you. Right, there's a metal grid which is very, very sharp. I've had my fingers cut on that when I've cleaned it. And we have a pusher with its comb to clean out all the excess. So normally I'm going to dice my onions. I like my onions diced. I know a lot, Vanessa and quite a few people use a Cook Expert to chop up the onions, but I just want to show you tonight you can dice onions, especially if you want to do a salad and you want that nice square look. I'll just turn this on. Once I turn it on, you'll see that it'll change from expert to food processor. And my garlic. Now I'm going to separate this. Now with the spatula, if it does get caught, just use your spatula to remove any excess vegetables that get stuck in the blade. Don't use your fingers. I just want to separate this. So when I fry the onions. So how's your week been going? It's been cold enough? It has been cold here. And I've been eating lots and lots of soup, especially with, hot bread coming out of the oven. Okay. Place it back in. Return the slicing disc in. So start. Now, if it doesn't fit, I tend to cut so that, that goes in. So turn it on. Look how good that is. It's a tough one. Tomato. skin on that was so hard on the tomatoes. And using the spatula just to remove what gets caught in, because we don't want any accidents. I've done that. And it wasn't pleasant. So, straight here. I have a habit of to return my disciple back in the case, the storage unit. And here is all the lovely vegetables nicely diced. I'll just put in a bowl so you can see better. And it's great how the spatula fits into the bowl. And you're able to scrape every little bit. All the goodness in that. And this is, I don't know if you can see all that. Nicely cubed. I feel like eating it now, but I need to cook it. Okay, so now we'll start with the cooking. I'll just remove all this. And onto our metal bowl. Now, with the metal bowl, I'm just using, sorry about my notes. Okay. Now the Cook Expert's metal bowl, it's great because once you have this cooked, it will retain its heat up to 2 hours. Now the cooking with the way I cook my minestrone, because I'm a bit impatient when it comes to my pasta, so I tend to use the angel hair. So what I do is once it's finished cooking, not to overcook, I sort of just cook it to al dente, and that gives me enough time to set the table up, grab a few things. And by the time that's finished, the 40 minutes will go very, like the 10 minutes extra will go very quickly. So you end up having a very nice hearty soup. Now the history of minestrone, it's about two centuries ago. It came about with about not wasting food and using up leftovers, and all the new produce was being hit on the market. So it's just more a combination of everything left over and put into the pot and cook. So as your one pot cooking. It's always cooked with pasta. It's a vegetarian meal, and it's a meal that you can never get sick and tired. I know I can't get sick and tired of it. So I would pour some oil. Oh, before I do that, I just want to show, I did half. So you place your onion in there and your garlic. Yeah, I've got a fair bit of garlic in here. And I'm going to chop it up. And I'm going to be using speed 13, if I can. Vanessa makes this look so easy. Okay, so I go into, press OK, and we've got the timer here highlighted, and then I've got the speed. So I'm going to press auto and bring it up to say speed 13 for chopping. It's now starting to, am I going anywhere? No, I'm going to move it over. Now it's speed 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I usually pick up by the sound. I think it should be speed 13. Press stop. And this is how you chop onion and garlic in the same bowl. That's what it looks like. So I'm going to use my spatula. Okay, just push it all down. Can you see all that? Okay, so it puts it back on the base. I love how it locks in. I don't like onions crying in my eyes. I'm going to add the other onions and garlic. Now I've got about 4 to 5 tablespoons of oil, olive oil. Pour that in. Lid on. Now I take the lid off, and I love the fact that you got the glass view of the lid and you can look inside what's cooking. So just let me wipe my fingers. Okay. Okay, so we go to 1A. I'll bring it down. Yep, 1A. And I'm going to bring this over to 120. So I just use the minus button. It goes to 140, and then I bring it down to 120. I think it's going to be 120. I'll just kind of see. Just look at the reflection that I'm hoping. No, I've got bad eyesight. Okay. Let me turn this around. Yep, got it right. Proud of myself. Then press auto. And now I'll cook that for 1 minute. I think I've got there the high speed of 6, but I'll just count. So while that's cooking on the 1A is actually, it stirs every 2 minutes. It's great for cooking meats, browning, not browning, but sweating off your garlic and onion, softening your vegetables, and the other thing too is on speed 2A, that's like a wooden spoon stirring every 10 seconds. So you're actually like standing there stirring. With the speed 3, that's more for sauces, making jams. It's continuous stir, gentle, without over, like a hard, so nice gentle stir continually. Great for making jams, your sauces, your custards. Usually I go for speed. If it's a thick custard, I go for speed 4. See how the induction heating actually heats up very, very quickly. It reaches to its temperature. Now, I usually go by smell. A lot of you can set the timer to 1 minute, and once it stops cooking, you know, but when you're a bit more experienced, as in like, I usually go by smell, and I tend to open the lid and I check it. Look at that. So tell me, I didn't actually say who's cooking with me tonight. I just realised now, it's just come to my head. I'd love to know who is cooking with me tonight, or if you're not cooking with me, you can watch this later on. And look at that, isn't that good? Look at how nicely sweaty that is. Yeah, and you know, the recipe is also on the Facebook page. I've got to get used to all this. So now that the onions have actually sweated, I'm going to add the vegetables. And I'm going to cook that for about 2-3 minutes on 2A. So what I'm actually doing is actually softening the vegetables. Now, if you don't like a vegetable, just say you don't like zucchini, you can substitute it with something else. You can substitute it with another vegetable. If you can do sweet potato instead of potato. You could use mushrooms. You could use pumpkin will go too soft, but you can use pumpkin and just it dissolve. It will just thicken up. So I'll just put this on, and I'll just go change the setting. 2A, I think. Yep, 2A. I'm leaving it the same temperature, and I'll just go for another 3 minutes. Maybe I should use my... Actually, what I should do is stop this and put the timer on. Let me bring it over and go for 3 minutes so I know. Yeah. So I'll put the cap on and that will cook. So my next ingredients I'll be adding after this will be the tomato and the beans and the kale. So with the beans, you could use any beans you like. You want to use the 4 mixed beans. We've got the chickpeas in it. You want to use the white beans, you can use the white beans. You can use any beans you like. You don't have to use the batola beans. If you don't want beans, I grew up hating. I used to pick them out of my bowl as a kid. But as I got older, I appreciate the health benefits of eating beans. You could also use, let's say, if some people are allergic or have problems with gases and stuff, make sure you soak your beans. If you want to use beans, dried beans, soak them overnight and then cook them first. I use a touch of bicarb soda to help it to get rid of the gases, and then I keep the rest of it in the freezer when I want to make a salad or a soup or instantly. And also with the heating, I love the fact that you can touch it. Your stainless steel bowl will keep the food warm for up to 2 hours. And I've just got lost just then. It's coming on very, very nicely in here. Okay. So how many of you are looking at to buy a Cook Expert or a food processor? If you're not sure, you know you can book a demonstrator online, and what they'll do is in that 1 hour they will able to help you decide if it's right for you. And you can also ask questions as well. You can ask all sorts of questions. So it's a one-to-one demonstration. You can request like I would like to, like I failed in risotto, what am I doing wrong? So we can go step by step on what you are doing wrong. We can also, do the food processor as well. If you want to, which size food processor would I like? So this is a 5200 XL. It's the same one that you get the large on top of the range. So in Cook Expert, you get that with it. A bit later on, I will show you, I'm going to be making breadsticks using the food processor. A bit later on, I'll show you how I use a food processor. Look, it's done. You can see how it's changed. I don't know if you can see that. Oh. So I just push everything down. And I love how the spatula fits into the bowl. So you find that the spatula, the little cutout, right, is actually designed to fit in and go around the wings. I call it the wings. So I've got a can of chopped up tomatoes. And I'm going to add my beans. I'm going to add, I like to cook my kale all together, so I like soft. I've got red kale. I can't get hold of green kale. Every time I go look for green kale, it's all sold out in the supermarkets, so red will do. I made some vegetable stock the other day and I left it in liquid form. I'm going to add now some hot boiling water. Excuse me while I get the hot water. Sorry, I should have had my kettle out here. Okay. Add my salt to season. You can add pepper, but I tend to add pepper right at the last minute because I like that spiciness. And put that on for 10 minutes. How do I go? 8, not bad. Okay, and leave it at 120. Press auto. And there it goes. So that will cook for 10 minutes before I add the pasta. I didn't add my parsley. Now that again is an option. And if you do forget, you can pop it through the cap. So while that's cooking away, wipe down my bench. And I've got it all on point form here. And I'll still get it wrong. Oh well. Okay, what I'm going to talk about. So while it's cooking, I'll go through the functions of the blade. So we've got 0, and what 0 is used for? For boiling water, like you're making pasta. I have actually used this sometimes as a kettle because the kettle's only 2 litres and I've got more than 2 litres in here boiling. Then we've got 1A, which is a gentle stir for delicate dishes like your fish, your chicken, cooking off your onions and your spices as well. Then you've got 2A. 2A is like what it's doing now at the moment. It's stirring continuously, every 2 minutes. It's actually stirring like a wooden spoon. You can turn this off to say 0 if you wanted to. So that's not an issue if you keep the vegetable a bit more whole. So I'll show you can change the setting to 0, and that will just cook away, like on the cream soup program where the blades don't turn, only turns in the beginning to actually mix your ingredients, and at the end it then becomes a high super blender at the end, so without adding using a food stick as well. So back to what I was talking about, the speeds. Okay, so speed 3 is actually used for your like sauces, your like making a hollandaise sauce, your custard, your jams, gentle stir. I use speed 4 for making I make polenta, porridge. I tend to go from 3 and 4 depending on how much I'm making, and then from speed, what do I do for speed 5? Oh yeah, from speed 6 to speed 15, that's actually your chopping. So your chopping your vegetables, your fruit. It depends on what desired texture you like. Also, speed 15. Speed 15 is actually used for grating cheese. So you get pieces of box of Parmesan cheese. You cut up to say about 2 inches. Pop it in there. Put your lid on. Close it. And you just pulse it away until you get the texture you like. Same with chocolate. If you want to grate chocolate, pop it in there, pulse it until you get the texture you like. Then from speed 15 to 18 acts like a super blending, yeah. So we start to blend to a fine consistency, nice and smooth. If you want it a bit choppy, you just reduce the speed and the time. So we also have our programs. So this is in the expert mode, which is you're in control of what you want to do, how long you want to put the time, the speed, and the temperature. So the temperature goes from 30 to 160, and it's increments of 1 degree each time. And to get to 160, you must use the stir fry function as well, and that will give you the high temperature for really give that nice sauteing your meats and your onion, and to the caramel onions, which I love doing in here. Just kind of pop it in there, walk away for 7 minutes, come back, add my vinegar sugars, and it's done. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, sorry about this. Okay, I said I'm going to show you while that's cooking, right? I'm going to show you how I use a food processor to make my breadsticks. Sometimes because I'm going to be using the bowl, and instead of washing the bowl using the dough in here, I'll make it in the food processor. So I'll just take that off, take the lid off. And I'm going to use the main blade. So I actually have in here, I've actually got 250 grams of baker's flour. As you can see, I've added my oregano, and I've got my yeast on this side here. I've got about a sachet yeast, and on this corner here, I've got my salt. So you can also measure out directly into the bowl. And this is how you'll do it. So without making a mess and moving your blade, take off the whole base, place on the scale, and then you can measure straight onto tare it, and you can measure it straight into the bowl. I've already pre-measured this. Maybe I should not have done it that way. I could have more time. Okay, just wipe this up. Let's put that in the bin. Okay. And I'm going to add 20 mils of oil. So this is an example where I just measure out. Look at that, perfect. Yeah, 20 mils. I guessed that one. And then 104, and then 100 and, I don't know if you can see this or not. Maybe just move you along. Beep, beep, beep. Okay. 140 mils of water. This is lukewarm water. When I say lukewarm, it's got to be just warm enough that it's, when you make a baby formula. So just touch on your wrist and it's fine. So I pour that in. Make sure it's 100. Yep, perfect. Don't know if you can see this. I might just move this over a bit. That's right. I can't tell. I did do a practice and it did look right. Okay. Then I close the lid. Now don't, with a food processor, right, it won't close properly if you have the pusher in. So it just won't lock. And then if you go and turn it on, it will say, close the lid, right? So by saying close the lid, you need to, and quite often I get people say it doesn't work, it's not closing. Just remove the internal pusher, close it, insert. So when I do my bread dough in the food processor, I actually use a pulse button to actually bring the water and the oil together like you do by hand. So I'm going to pulse this. And what I do is, before I go into the auto mode, scrape everything down. I love making bread. Bread, pasta, cakes. I even make a sponge cake using the food processor as well. Okay. And then I turn on the auto button and I'll press stop when I see the whole dough gathered into a ball. Okay. Where's my cover? And I've got the dough. Yep, perfect, the way I like it. Again, with this spatula, I just scrape off all the excess. Look at that, perfect timing. I've got a nice clean bowl. Oh, food processor, that's not bad. I love it. So move that out of the way. Now just check. Oh, look at that. It smells so good. Oh, I can't wait. I love it. Actually, the red cow is not bad looking. It makes the orange pop out. I'll just take this off the bowl, right? And just show you. Can you all see that? I can't tell. I think you can see that, but it looks good. It smells nice. So this is where I add the angel hair. If you want to use another type of pasta, that's fine, like a shell or the bows, the macaronis. There's no right or wrong. My mum, growing up, we used leftover. So when we have a little bit of pasta left over in the cupboard, we should just chuck it all in. So I'll just break this up a bit more. You can probably hear my puppies barking downstairs. Okay. Pop that in. Now just add a bit of basil and a bit of more parsley. Now, as you can see, this bowl is actually quite full. I don't know if you can see this. It's kind of lonely being by yourself, you know, no camera person. But oh well, that's fine. If someone wants to be my camera person, I'll love that. The payment will actually be food, whatever I make that day. Any offers? That'd be great. Okay, so another 5 minutes. I think it was 10, so I'm going to go minus. Yeah. Oh, am I doing this right? No. Going. Hold on. What did I just? What am I doing? Okay, we'll just add the time this way. Sorry, guys. Actually do it this way so you can see. Oh, that would do. I just highlight to 1, 2A, and then bring it over, make sure the temperature. This way. Yep. Okay, so while that's cooking, the pasta's cooking, I'll quickly show you how I do my dough. Sorry guys. rid of the got some flour. So normally I would rest this dough for half an hour before I roll it out. Oops, daisy, it's my apron. And I'll just gently roll it. I'm making a bit rustic looking, so it'll be nice and even. And just press that in. Now the difference between a breadstick and a grissini, breadstick is actually a soft, long bread, and grissini is actually twice baked. And that's how you get the nice crunchy grissini. I'm using my spatula to cut. So pretty much when you get your kit, your food processor and your cook expert, you get your 2 spatulas, you pretty much can bake and cook straight away. So I'll just show you. What I do is I got some flour. It's a little trick which I do with a spatula. I tend to cut so it prevents sticking. I like nice fat ones. And that will go with the just cut that up. I virtually bake every day. Every day in my household, I'm always making bread or some form of bread. There's always flour in this kitchen, always everywhere. Even though I've got a black kitchen bench, ends up being like Snow White. Okay, it won't be long. Then I have the oven already preheated at 220 degrees. And I've got my baking tray. I just tend to flour it lightly. Then I add, oops, these are rustic. That didn't come through, did it? There you are. So what I normally would do is I actually will make this first in the food processor, and then I will actually then I'll take the blade out, and then I'll actually insert the midi bowl, and then do my dicing. So add the support disc, the slicing disc, the 10mm disc, and then the dicing unit, and dice my vegetables. So virtually there is very, very little washing up to do. And also after that, once I scrape the vegetables out, I wipe the bowl down, and then I grate some cheese, some Parmesan cheese. I'll just quickly pop this in the oven. And I've already got some breadsticks made. I just want to show you. And I'll bake that for 20 minutes at 220. So that's looking lovely in there. You can actually smell. That's also a great bench scraper too, the spatula. There's more uses than using it on the food processor. Just wipe that down. Oops. Now, as I said to you before, with the pasta, give it, say, about 5 to 10 minutes. It all depends how thick your minestrone soup is. Mine's quite thick, so it may need another 5 minutes. So how are the comments going? I wouldn't know. I have to sort of go behind the screen to see what's going on. What I'd like to talk to you about, just put this here, is the books, the recipe books. I just love the recipes, especially this one here. This one's close to my heart. Why? Because it's got bread. You know, but all their books is great. That's one thing I do know is it's a bit of trial and error when I first started out using some of the recipes. But most of all, what I tend to do is adjust. It gives me an idea what settings to use, what timing I need to sort of mix. So if you're creating your own recipes, I just kind of find a similar one, like the panettone, and then I'll just follow the directions. This is stopped. I wonder this is how it's going. Now, when I lift anything hot, please be very, very careful. The last thing you want is hot heat hitting your face. So for precaution, I just lift the lid up, just allow steam to escape a bit, turn it over, look at that steam, and put it down. I think it just needs another few more minutes. It's almost cooked. I'll just take it off the bowl to show you what stage it's at. I would love to know who's cooking with me. And that's what, can you see that? I don't know. It looks good. Smells nice. Okay. Look at that. I've placed my hands on it. It's been at 120 degrees. It's actually a great hand warmer too. And it's like, it's not burning. So I'll just give it 2 more minutes before I dish this up. Okay. Just add just 2 more minutes. Have I got it? Well, that's close enough. Just wipe that down. I was going to show you how to grate the cheese, but I left my cheese down the other end of my kitchen. Like, it's quite bit of a walk, so I won't do it. But what I do is, when I make the Parmesan chips, is actually I use a 2mm grater and I grate it. Then I get the tray and about a tablespoon on the baking tray with baking paper, and in the oven 220 degrees for about 5 minutes, and you create these lovely chips, Parmesan chips. I've got some already made, which I'm going to be serving up very shortly. These are the Parmesan chips which I made earlier on. One stage I went through a keto diet a few years ago, and I virtually lived on these Parmesan chips. These are the breadsticks which I made today. I'm always making breadsticks. They're the same ones which I've got in the oven. I've got oregano in there and black pepper, but you can do any flavours. The recipe for that one there is actually in the food processing cookbook. The Best Bakery is in this one here, which you can do in the food processor or in the Cook Expert. It doesn't really matter. So it's actually on page 20. Just let me, here it is. This is the one that I've just done, and this is how I just showed you how I just do it. Especially if you don't have the time, like as I said, I normally will spend half an hour proofing it, but I can virtually go from making it, put it in the oven. You can probably, I'm not sure if you can see, but I can take it out shortly to show you without proving how far it puffs up. So you can virtually make that in the same day, same night, sorry, whilst you're making your minestrone, and that should be almost ready. And I think it was just check that. Oh, look at that. It's bubbling away. Okay. So I'm just talking to my mum in Italian, asking her, can you get my Parmesan cheese out? Because I forgot to get it out. She's a darling. Look at that. Sorry. Thanks, Mum. Thank you. This is the Parmesan cheese which I grated earlier on. Some nice Parmesan cheese on top. Then some Parmesan chips. You can tell I like cheese. And a few more leaves of basil. Crunch of breadstick. There you have it. Dinner is ready now. I hope you enjoyed it and it smells divine. Before I go, I'll just quickly show you what it's not cooked, but do it straight from the food processor onto a baking tray into the oven. Another 10 minutes, that'll be ready. I just want to say thank you very much. Thank you very much for watching, and I do apologise for my mistakes if I've made any, and I hope to see you again soon. Thank you. Enjoy your dinner.